They told her the house was cursed, but Emma didn't believe in curses. She believed in fresh starts. After years of failed relationships, heartbreak, and a life that felt like it was always in someone else's hands, she made a bold decision to leave the city and buy a house in the countryside. Something old, something beautiful, something untouched. When the agent showed her the photos of the Victorian villa hidden behind ivy and iron, gates at the edge of a forgotten village, she didn't even hesitate. This one, she said. The villa stood tall and proud, despite the passage of over a century. Its brick walls were weathered, its windows thick with dust, and its wooden floors creaked with every step. But to Emma, it was perfect. There was something about it, a sense of silence so deep it almost felt ancient. She moved in with just a few boxes, a mattress, a bottle of red wine, and hope. The first night was quiet, too quiet. At 2:43 a.m., she woke up. No sound, no storm, no wind, but she felt it. A pressure, like someone was standing at the edge of the bed. She turned on the light. No one, just the old mirror standing across from her. It hadn't been there before. Emma assumed she'd overlooked it. The villa had many rooms she hadn't explored. It could have been brought up by the movers, but something about the mirror made her uneasy. It was tall, carved in blackened wood, with vines etched into the frame and a glass that didn't quite reflect light the way it should. Her own image looked distant, as if she were being watched from the other side. By the third night, the dreams began. But they weren't dreams. Not really. She would wake up in bed, unable to move, and see a woman standing in the hallway, pale, with dark hair, wearing a dress that didn't belong in this century. Emma's heart would pound, her throat locked in silence, and then nothing. She would blink and the woman would vanish. But the next morning, the hallway mirror would be slightly tilted, and once she saw fingerprints, small, feminine. She tried to brush it off, stress, fatigue, isolation, until she found the photograph. It was hidden inside the frame of a painting she'd taken down to clean. The photo was old, sepia-toned, showing a couple standing in front of the same villa. The woman wore a high-collared dress with lace sleeves. Her face looked stern, but her eyes were Emma's. No, not hers, but exactly like hers, so much that she dropped the photo. That night, Emma lit candles instead of using the overhead lights. She didn't know why. Maybe it felt safer. Maybe it felt older. She wandered the house with a glass of wine, barefoot, the floor groaning beneath her. In the attic, she found an old chest. Inside, dresses, ribbons, and a small leather-bound journal with the name Eliza Whitmore, embossed in gold. Emma opened it. March 14th, 1872. The mirrors whisper at night again. They tell me to remember. They tell me I must return. Harold says it's nerves. He doesn't understand. I saw her. She walks the hallways in my body while I sleep. One of us is not real anymore. Emma dropped the book. The wine glass shattered beside her. She didn't scream. She didn't breathe. She just sat there in the attic, frozen, the candlelight flickering across the old pages. She'd read more, dozens of entries, each more disturbing than the last. Eliza believed someone or something was crossing over through the mirrors. She wrote about a copy, a twin, the other me. She began to forget things, lose time, see herself walking from across the room. And then the entries stopped. The final page was a single sentence written in shaky ink. "I don't know who I am anymore." The next day, Emma covered all the mirrors in the house, every single one, even the one in the bathroom. She told herself it was temporary, just a precaution, but she could feel it now, like a weight in her mind, a presence always one step behind her. At night, she heard breathing, not hers, a second breath, and once, while brushing her hair, she looked at the mirror she'd forgotten to cover, and for half a second her reflection smiled when she didn't. Emma barely slept. When she did, her dreams felt like someone else's memories. She would see herself walking the halls in clothes she didn't own. She would feel hands she didn't control brushing her hair. Sometimes she'd blink and be standing in front of a mirror. Only the reflection wouldn't blink back. It would just smile. She tried calling friends. No one answered. Her phone lost reception inside the house. Only outside, near the gates, did she get a single bar, and even then, the calls dropped after a few seconds. Her emails never sent. The villa was silent in a way that felt intentional, like the house didn't want her leaving. One night, the mirror in the bedroom was uncovered. She knew she had draped a blanket over it, but there it was, exposed, upright, waiting. She stared into it, and this time the woman in the mirror, Eliza, didn't pretend. She moved before Emma did, tilted her head, raised her hand. Her eyes were wide, gleaming with a cruel awareness. And then she mouthed something. Emma couldn't hear it, but she knew what the lips said. Soon, Emma ran out of the room, down the stairs, into the garden. She didn't stop until she was outside the gates, barefoot on the cold road, gasping. She didn't go back inside until sunrise. Even then, something felt different. Everything was where it should be, but the air was thicker and the walls seemed closer. The mirrors were all covered again, except for one, the hallway mirror. Her reflection wasn't in it. Instead, Eliza stood there, hair wild, dress soaked in shadow, skin pale like parchment. And behind her, the house, the same hallway, but decayed. The wallpaper rotted, floorboards snapped, vines pushing through the cracks. A ruined version of the home Emma stood in. And then the reflection moved closer. Eliza pressed her hand to the inside of the glass. Emma felt cold against her cheek. She backed away. The mirror fogged. Words formed. "Let me back." Emma tore down the mirror, smashed it. Glass exploded in every direction. But in the shards, she still saw Eliza's eyes, dozens of them staring back. And one of them blinked. She packed a bag. She didn't care about the money, the house, the plans. She just wanted out. But when she opened the front door, she was standing in the attic. She screamed, turned around, and saw herself sitting on the floor, reading the journal. Emma froze. She watched herself. The bag fell from her hands. "You took too long," the other Emma whispered, without looking up. "She's already inside." Then silence. When Emma blinked, the attic was empty again, but the journal was gone. That night, she sat in the corner of the living room, all lights on, clutching a knife. But she was so tired, and as her eyes closed for just a second, a creak came from the hallway. She opened her eyes, and there she was, Eliza, standing at the edge of the room. But this time she didn't move, didn't vanish. She walked forward, step by step, until she stood face to face with Emma. "This was always my home," Eliza whispered. "You opened the door. You let me in." Emma wanted to scream, but she couldn't. Her voice was gone. Her body wouldn't move. She tried to lift the knife, but her hand stayed still. And then Eliza smiled, not with joy, but with victory. The mirror in the room began to glow. It pulsed with a sickly white light. Eliza stepped through it, and Emma felt herself being pulled, not physically, but from within. Like her thoughts, her memories, her soul were being yanked out, piece by piece. She saw herself walking backwards toward the glass, but her body wasn't moving. Eliza stood still, and Emma, the real Emma, felt her mind being pushed behind the glass, trapped, watching. When the light faded, only one figure stood in the room. She looked like Emma. She breathed like Emma. She blinked like Emma. But it wasn't her. The next day, the villa was quiet again. Clean, beautiful. No broken mirrors, no mess. Just a woman, Emma, in a white dress, sipping tea on the balcony. She smiled at the birds, and when the mailman passed by and waved at her, she waved back. But her eyes were not Amy's. They were older, much older, and in the hallway mirror, just for a moment, if you looked closely enough, you could see someone screaming behind the glass, but only for a second, then gone.